Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airways and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting live from the Kaida studio. Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show. As always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. Holy crap. Man, have we got a lot to talk about today. We really do. I mean, dude, holy cow. For those of you that thought that this year might be a quiet, back to normal, maybe things can kind of cool down and chill down a little bit. If the past couple weeks, especially the past week, is any precursor as to what to expect, this is not going to be a quiet, get back to normal year. Holy cow. Now, we do have a lot to cover on this episode, so I am going to do my absolute best to stay on target, stay on topic, keep the show rolling. I'm going to try my best because, like I said, we got a lots to talk about. Okay, we really do. And I'm going to do my best to keep this in different segments so that this way I can kind of trim this down and repost just the segments along with the full-length live broadcast here right now. But, yeah. So on the last segment, we're going to be talking about, let me scroll down into it. We're going to be talking about the bill that just got done getting passed in Illinois. It's the HR 4751, the who gives a shit about your Second Amendment rights bill. And before that segment, we're going to be talking about confidential documents found with Biden. Holy cow. We're going to be talking about that. And before that, we're going to be talking about Biden with his IRS. We're going to be talking about, what the House of Representatives are wanting to do with the IRS. We're going to be talking about the fair tax. We're going to be talking about what he actually intends on doing with it. I think I said that already. And let's see. Before that, we're going to be talking about... Oh, yeah. I talked about that one already. Actually, I think that is it. Before this segment, we're going to be talking about some of Jim. Oh, yeah. Going to be talking about the gas stove ban. We're going to be talking about select committees in the House of Representatives. What Kevin McCarthy, what the heck am I saying? What Kevin McCarthy is talking about doing with the Capitol 6 footage. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about that. Yep. Going to be talking about, the FFA outage that happened earlier this week. I think it was Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to be talking about... Well, that, Swalwell, Schiff. And we are going to start the show by actually asking a question. All that just to get to here. We're going to be starting this segment by asking a question. The question is simply, should the House Republican majority copy Dems' violations of norms? Now, this headline actually comes from the new... Really? Nothing? Wow. All right, so that doesn't work at all. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can't fix this right quick. I obviously have something wrong here. I don't know what it is. It seems like it's... Oh, well, okay, now it's up. Okay, all right, so I have absolutely no idea why that wasn't working right there. But this headline is from the New York Post. should the House Republican majority copy the Dems' violations of norms? Now, here's the thing. All right, let me talk about this for a second, okay? In politics, you should never do anything that you don't want done to yourself, okay? It's the same frame of mind that kind of goes along with mutually assured destruction. Yeah, that big long word. You know, it's kind of the same thing, okay? Don't open up my closet and point to everybody what's going on in my closet if you don't want me doing the same thing to you, okay? Mutually assured destruction, whenever you're dealing with, nuclear bombs, is if you fire a bomb at me, I'm going to know about it. I'm going to fire a bomb back at you. And even though I may be dead before it reaches you, I can at least die knowing that you will die as well. That's what the whole mutually assured destruction means. It's pretty simple. And in the game of politics, it's the same type of mindset, okay? We play by a certain amount of rules. None of us have clean hands. Don't bear mine if you don't want yours to be bared as well. So really the question that you should be asking is, why do the Democrats feel as though they are above reproach? That the pendulum that swang way the heck over here isn't going to return the other way and swing back over to here? That's the question. Because in politics, in a lot of different things, it's a pendulum that swings back and forth. Yes, the Republicans may be in power over here, but the Republicans will be in power, or the Democrats will be in power over here, and then it's going to swing back again. You're not going to stop the pendulum from swinging. That's just part of it. That's the game that is played. And really, the answer to that question isn't anything that's real simple. I mean, it can't be answered simply. I mean, simply put, they think that they are above the law. I mean, and they really do think that. And the question as to why they think that is pretty obvious. Because they are above the law. They are above reproach. I mean, you may want to, scoff and you may want to, and you may want to disagree with me, but the fact of the matter is, Joe Biden is a free man, not just a free man, but he's the president of the United States of America. No recourse. Hillary Clinton is a free woman. No recourse. So many others are free who shouldn't be, even though they are. No recourse. Because they started from the bottom up, changing the culture in ways that would ensure that they would stay in power. And then you got what's going on right now with the open border, that if you are going against the Democrat policy, they're just going to move a bunch of people in there whom are going to be subservient to government, that are going to do the government's bidding, because they're getting the handout and the free stuff, and they're not going to vote against the Democrat Party. They're not going to vote against the free stuff because for some reason they think as though because they showed up here under their own, power, strength, whatever, help from the U.S. government as well, that they think that they are just owed all these things. And for some reason, the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights pertain to them just as much, if not more than what it pertains to American citizens. And that's what we have taught these people. That's what we've been demonstrating to them. That's what our federal government does to them. To hell with the American people. Let's do everything that we can to help out illegals. Illegal aliens. Because that's who they are. They're changing the culture. They have successfully changed the culture. Yes, there's a lot of people out there like me who knows that what they're doing is not right, is not constitutional, but we have allowed them to do this long enough. We have allowed them in hopes that, they would honor their oaths of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what we have wanted. And I mean, let's face it, we haven't had the ability to, babysit them and really pay attention with everything that goes on up there in Washington because, one, a lot of these things happen behind closed doors, not on the floor in open debate for all to see, but behind closed doors in these different committees because that's where good bills goes to die, in committee. But we have told them and we have ignored them because, let's face it, we've had better things to do. We had to go to work as conservatives, as Republicans, as the ones whom are actually floating to the bill for everything that's going on. We had to go to work. We had things to do. We couldn't babysit government. That's why we elected them into office so that this way, in hopes that they would actually honor their oaths of office, we left them to their, on their own. And now, for some reason, we are surprised that, they've just been serving themselves for the entirety of the time that they've been in office. Definitely for the past 50 years, and probably even longer. I'm going to turn down over there in Spreaker just a little bit. It shows I am on 80. I turned that down to 78. Let me know over there in Spreaker if that is any better. So that's where we're at. Should the House Republican majority copy Dems' violations of norms? Now, here's the thing. My answer to this is going to be simple. Abso-freaking-lutely. Because they didn't violate the norms. Yes, they did, but they set new precedents. They set new modes of how these things could be done. They changed the norms. They didn't just violate the norms, they changed the norms. Because if they didn't want these things to be used against them, then they shouldn't have used them against conservatives, against Republicans, against Donald Trump. They shouldn't have used these weapons of politics and government if they didn't want these things used against them. Mutually assured destruction. They wanted it. If they didn't want it, they shouldn't have done it. So yes, I am as one of somebody who believes fully that yes, allow them to take the same medicine that they have forced us to take for some time. Force it down their throats if necessary. No holds barred, take no prisoners. I do not care. Fly the black flag for all I care. That's the way it should be. Period. End of story, end of discussion. I don't even care. I have no sympathy. I have no compassion. This is what they have been doing to us for some time. It is high time that we remind them why you don't do that, why you don't treat people like that. If they don't have some sort of recourse, if they don't have people that hold them accountable, that put them in prison, that put them in shackles, that exercises to the fullest extent of the law the repercussions of doing these activities, ain't nothing going to happen and ain't nothing going to change. That's why a lot of these things with, we're doing investigations on this, that, and the other, I really don't care. Yes, in a matter of speaking, it's nice. But come on. Of those that are paying attention, who doesn't know what's in Hunter Biden's laptop? Everybody knows. Everybody knows that Joe Biden has been lying his hind end off about him not knowing what's in Hunter's Biden laptop, about him not knowing about Hunter and, his brother's business dealings with foreign officials and other governments. Yes, he knows. There's no doubt in anybody's mind of anybody who's been paying attention. If you haven't been paying attention, if you don't know, it's only because you don't want to know. I've heard it said that somebody who pays attention to the news is uninformed, or somebody who pays attention to the news is misinformed. Somebody who doesn't pay attention to the news is uninformed. But, there is a third class of people. Those who pay attention. Those who do their own research. Those who, were given a brain by God, whom know how to use it and think for themselves. It's called critical thinking. You know, I don't have to be led to the truth. I can find it on my own. I have a brain. I was taught how to think. I was not taught what to think. That is a difference in education between my generation and the generations that followed. I was taught critical thinking. I was taught how to think. I was not taught, nor was it forced down my throat. Well, it was, but it was a pill that I wasn't going to swallow. Because I was first taught how to think. I mean, isn't that what education is supposed to be all about? Teaching our children how to think so they are secure in themselves, knowledgeable enough that even if they don't know, they can find the truth. Isn't that what we teach our children? You know, the whole reason why we do it in the first place is not to give them information. You know, it's the whole moniker of teach a man to fish, you feed him for a day. You feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life. It's the same moniker. It's the same thing. I was taught in a time how to think. We're 16 minutes into this, and that was just the first topic. Let's continue. And now you have, and this article comes from the Washington Examiner, McCarthy removing Schiff and McCarthy removing Schiff and Swalwell from committee is what we're supposed to do. And you know what? That's another one of these things that I completely agree with. I mean, come on. You know, this is the thing, and this is laughable. Swalwell, Schiff, okay? Schiff was the guy whom shouted from the rooftops that I have facts, I have undisputed information that former President Trump, or at the time President Trump, is guilty upon sin. I have the proof. It's undeniable. You know, he should be removed from office, this, that, and the other. Come to find out, it was a whole lot of nothing burger. This is Schiff lying his butt off, saying a bunch of stuff just to hear himself speak. None of it true, and we know this after the years of investigations that was done on former President Trump. I mean, if this was something, if there was something there, then it would have been pointed out, it would have come to the surface, and he would have been prosecuted over it. Nothing happened, therefore, there was nothing there. And then Swalwell, the guy that was on the intelligence committee that was sleeping with a foreign spy, Chinese spy, and he was still allowed to stay on the intelligence committee after doing something so blatantly stupid. It's not very intelligent, Swalwell. Not very intelligent at all. So, I mean, is it any shocker? Is it any surprise that this was, why is he shocked that he was taken off committee? He's like, dude, well, I mean, the other people in the committee had no problem with what happened. I was exonerated. Biden didn't care what happened. I was exonerated. Trump didn't care what was going on. I was exonerated. Like that's a defense. Dude, you slept with an enemy spy. That's not intelligent. What makes you think that you should just get away with that? I mean, he should be removed for at least incompetence, for bad judgment. There was no investigation done on this. It was more or less just swept under the rug. It's like, what the hell, dude? And he's surprised. Is this something we should be doing? Yes. Schiff does not belong in that position. He's obviously biased. Why should he be there? Swalwell, he's compromised. Why should he serve in intelligence? Because what he did was pretty stinking stupid. It's violation to our foreign interests. You're putting American lives at risk by putting somebody who may have been compromised by the Chinese government on Foreign Intelligence Committee. I mean, it's a no-brainer if you ask me, but apparently Swalwell and others think that It's okay. All right. Now, whenever I read this article, I'm moving on again. Now, whenever I read this article right here that I'm about ready to read to you, I don't agree. All right. Now, this article from Fox News Live, McCarthy says that Republicans would look at expunging Trump's impeachments. And I got to be honest with you, I don't agree with this whatsoever. Because based off of that first article that we looked at, should the House Republican majority copy Dems' violation norms, I think that they should keep it where it is, allow the impeachment to stand. Who cares, because he wasn't removed from office, and we need to do the exact same thing to the Democrats. That's what we need to do. Period. End of story. They need to be impeaching Trump. He was already impeached. They need to be impeaching Biden, not just for the Hunter Biden laptop, but for the, if you want this money, you're going to fire this prosecutor, and, the quid pro quo that they wanted to blame Trump for. And, here Biden is doing the same thing, acknowledging it, admitting to it, bragging about it on national TV, might I add. Where's his defense on that one? It's the very same thing, and even worse than what they were claiming Trump did. Let's impeach him for that. With this whole document scandal going on, and we're going to get into that in the next to the last segment, but with that document scandal of classified documents that Biden has, and believe me when I tell you, no, it is not the same thing of what they were accusing Trump of. Let's air the dirty laundry. Let's put it out there for everybody to see. With the whole Hunter Biden laptop, let's put it out there. With this whole, giving Twitter all this $300 some odd million as money for them to cover up and claim misinformation on stuff prior to the election. I mean, it's election tampering that the FBI participated in. That these social media companies like Facebook and like Twitter, they participated in knowingly. Well, you can only claim ignorance for so long. They had the means by which to do their own reporting, Twitter, Facebook, any of these social media websites, any of these news, throwing that up in quotation marks, any of these news organizations, they had the ability to do their own research on this. The question is, why didn't they? And that they didn't because they wanted to claim misinformation. Why? Because it made Biden look bad. We're going to get into the timeline of this whole, the documents that was found with Biden. But I do not agree with the premise that they should just expunge Trump's impeachment. No. Let's call out the Dems for what they've been doing. Let's put the Democrats on display. Let's make it blatantly obvious, as clear as the nose on Bozo's face. Let's make it clear to everybody what they've been doing, what he's been doing, what the Democrats have allowed them to be covering up, and continue into this with showing how the FBI has not only been allowing this to happen, not just turning their back and turning their nose up on what's been happening, but allowing it and assisting it to happen. Yeah. Let's treat them in the exact same way that they treated us, period. Again, I have no sympathy. I do not care. They asked for this. If they didn't, they shouldn't have done what they did to President Trump. If they didn't want it to happen to them, if they did, the Bible says that don't judge lest ye be judged, and you will be judged by the same light that you judge others. You need to be watching yourself now. Don't be trying to tell me that I need to be watching myself whenever you just got done doing what you did. I don't want to hear it. Yes, I'm going to bring in a little Medea here, I guess. Hallelujah. I love Medea. And yes, I have attitude about this because this is Bravo Sierra. It's crap. You have mainstream media out there. You have social media out there that are trying to say things like we're the bad guys. Pointing stuff out that we're doing. It's like, hello, you want to say that again? I mean, come on. I'm not surprised. The Democrat Party for far too long, and they're genius. They're excellent about shining the light, claiming that we are doing the stuff that they themselves are doing. Like, oh, you can't say nothing now because we done accused you of it. You can't say nothing about this. We've accused you of it. Now you're just going to look stupid. Now you're going to look bad. Now you're going to be judged on this. The condemnation is going to pass on you. It ain't going to pass on us. Okay. All right. You want to play that game? Let's fine. Let's play. I like playing games. I learned how to play games real good back in kindergarten. I'll play them again. I don't like to, but I will. I'm good at them. They shouldn't have done it to us if they didn't want it done to them. The pendulum swings. It will continue to swing. It has always swung ever since the politics has been lined out in this country. It has swung. And it will swing. Moving on. The next thing I want to talk about is this whole FAA outage of what happened. Now, guys, I got some things to line up for you. I got some things to let you know about. I mean, this is something that is just absolutely hilarious to me, and it's like, where did all this money go? Okay. Where did all this money go? All right, now, I want to rewind. Instead of talking about FAA, we're going to start off by talking about the Amtrak, okay? Amtrak. All right. Amtrak loses fiscally $8 million every single year. Or was it over a decade? It might have been over a 10-year span. But they lost $8 million in the food and beverage department. That was it. One department, $8 million. It was either over the course of 1 year or it was over the course of 10 years. I'm not 100% sure, but the reasons as to why, after they got done doing an audit of the books, they were like, well, here's why you're losing money. Because their sales were flipped upside down. Because what they would do is they would buy a hamburger for this amount of money and they would sell it for half off. Buy it for 10, sell it for 5. The same thing with soda. They'd buy it for 4, they'd sell it for 2. That's how all of their sales were done. They were flipped upside down. No wonder why they were losing $8 million. Again, I don't remember if this was over the course of 1 year or over the course of 10 years. It doesn't really matter because the reason's simple. This is why they lost all that money. Pretty stinking smart, right? Government money, they're not responsible for. This is money that is just handed to them. Money that doesn't exist because for some reason it's grown on trees, or at least that's how the federal government treats it. It's no wonder why it loses that kind of money over the course of 1 year or 10 years, whichever it was, and it doesn't matter. It's not their money. They're not responsible for it. They're not going to be held accountable for anything they do, so it doesn't matter that they don't know how to spend money. And now let's talk about the FAA. For those of you that don't know, all of flights nationwide, coast to coast, was shut down Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or was it Tuesday? I think it was the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Wednesday. This article was written on the 11th. Yeah. Okay, so all planes were shut down. Let me go ahead and pull up this article. All planes were shut down. An FAA outage of the entire system. It's a system that's kind of important for the thing. There's a name for it. I don't know what it is. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. But the point is, the whole entire system went down. And they had to ground each and every flight. Nationwide, coast to coast, people were outraged and flabbergasted. And you put your word in there, that's what everybody was. So they're wanting to investigate this and what happened. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is kind of funny. This is kind of weird. This is kind of sad, okay? They're basically saying that we have absolutely no idea what really happened. They're not trying to point the finger on hacking, on anything from any foreign government. You know, they're basically saying that this was just a system malfunction, and that's more or less what they're saying. And more or less is what they're attributing this to is a broken link somewhere in the database, you know, that is, you know, it's a software necessity. Like, and obviously the thing can't work without this database being attached to the system. It is essential program, essential database. It's not going to work without this being in here. Now, look, I am I code on the side. All right, I'm learning Python. I've done a little bit with Python. I've done a little bit with C++. I've done a little bit with C#. You know, there's a few things that I know, okay? Now, the FAA has been going through a huge shift in their lingo, in their language, and shifting how people, not just employees, but people who go there, address, and talk about different things, okay? Which is all good, fine, and dandy when you're talking just about the spoken word, okay? But they've gone above and beyond that. Because what they felt is that they can, with the money that was given to them just last year as a grant by the federal government, $8 billion. We'll talk more about that number later. You see, they figured that they would take this not just in with the, you know, like their handbook, you know, their employee handbook of how people should talk about things. You know, such changes like instead of calling it the cockpit because, oh, gee, cock, that's bad. You know, they're going to call it the flight deck instead of, you know, this name. We're going to call it that instead of this. We're going to call it that. You know, these are the things, you know, the type of changes that they felt it necessary to do. None of these changes in wokeness help with how the company operates, with how the FAA is done. It doesn't help with anybody's safety. It doesn't help with anything. It just makes a few people feel better. Oh, that's what's important, and that's a great way to spend $8 billion. But they went beyond that. They decided that they're going to do this not just in the employee handbook, but they're going to do this from the actual programs that the FAA relies on every single day. That's at least what my suspicion is. And I say that because of what little I have learned in coding. Okay? It seems to me like they did a lot of these changes not on the program side, but they did this on the code side. Because a lot of the times whenever you're doing program changes, the program has certain, you know, safeguards written into the code itself to kind of help with these broken links not happening, because that's what happened. It's a broken link somewhere in the chain that made the entire system crash. But whenever you make these same changes, like changing what a window is called over here, or a method by which critical information is accessed or written to a database, whenever you make these small changes, they have catastrophic effects on how the entire program operates. And if you make these changes not on a program level, but on a code level, it's a lot harder to find, even though it's still pretty stinking easy if they just go through the step of running the program, fixing the program, and then you're going to find out where the program, you know, where the program failures are. But a lot of people have gone to the whole, you know, we think this was somehow user error. And there's several things that have helped contribute to this, one of which being the stay at home, the work from home, everything else, that the people who were actually in charge of making sure that the critical infrastructure and the programs and everything else function properly wasn't able to really go and check because of the lockdowns, because of the restricted movement, because of everything else going on. I mean, Lord knows the air travel hasn't really been the same for quite some time since the lockdowns. And, well, it's kind of hard to run proper checks, diagnostics, catching mistakes and fixing them whenever they're not even there on site to be able to do that. It's really hard to do your job when you're not there to do it. One of the ways that contributed to what happened. And of course, these various theories on what's going on, I'm more apt to believe as far as, this was somebody's error. This was an accident that happened. This was a broken link. This was this, that, and the other. This was somebody that wasn't really qualified to make the changes that they made. And that's why what happened. I'm truly more apt to believe that because, you would think, what sounds worse? Every single flight coast to coast was shut down because of our incompetence, because, we're too stupid, because we clicked a button or we changed a line of code that we shouldn't have changed. And that's what caused this. Like, hey, our infrastructure is so crappy that, a tiny error can cause the entire system to go down. I mean, that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? But does that sound worse than, we had a hacker, a vulnerability that we just wasn't aware of. Now we are aware of it. Now we can work towards fixing it to make sure that this problem never happens again. As bad as that is, that's at least better than complete incompetence that a little bitty line of code made the entire system crash. Now, I'm not saying it was a little bitty line of code, but you know what? Knowing what I know about coding, it makes sense. Knowing what I know, it makes sense. Trust me, guys, whenever you have this system that bounces off of this system and uses this system, whenever you change one little bitty letter of code on how a database is accessed, that every single instance in this line of code, which may be hundreds, it may be thousands of times, especially whenever you're talking about a program, a line that with multiple lines of code, multiple hundreds of line of code is going to be in there who knows how many times. Yes, a little bitty changing of one letter, a small, tiny little misspelling could make the entire system crash. Yes, it's possible. And if what I heard was correct, that they're changing the names of things, that if they didn't run the proper check to make sure that every instance was changed, then yeah, it makes perfect sense that that's how this happened. And knowing what's going on in the change of language and everything, why they felt it necessary to do this on a program level, I have no idea. I mean, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't make anybody safer. It doesn't make anybody feel better. It's not like all of these people are looking at the lines of code going, I need to change the name of that. That's not how it works. Knowing what little I know about coding, it makes perfect sense that this is what they were doing. Especially whenever you take into consideration that of course they did. Because you're talking about useless idiots that, it's so bad, it's so horrible, you got to protect me from the mean, bad cockpit. Oh. It's just what we call it. We've been calling it that for years. It's offensive. Okay, fine. I'll change the name. You change the name. Without changing all the instances, the entire program crashes. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it makes sense. It makes sense. Just throwing that out there. It makes sense. Moving on. I don't care about that one. I've seen this article from Politico seen this article from Politico. Where'd it go? I just scrolled. Apparently it's with a lot of stuff out here. Here's a headline. Kevin McCarthy signaled Thursday that he's likely to release security footage from the January 6th Capitol attack. I want to remind everybody about a few things. Hold on, let me go back to that this way you guys can still see it. I want to remind you guys about a few things, okay? Two years after the fact, we still have... No, let me back up. What's her name? Ashley Babbitt? She was the only one who actually died January 6th. The only death on that day at the Capitol. I'm saying that again. The only death on January 6th at the Capitol that happened was Ashley Babbitt. That died at the hands of Capitol Police, I think. Tragedy. It's the only death that actually occurred that day. Nobody else died at the Capitol on January 6th. A lot of people have been arrested January 6th. I mean, it's amazing how, we can't find 200,000 undocumented immigrants whenever we give them a pen and a phone at the border. We can't keep track of all these people, but for some reason, everybody that was in Washington, D.C., every single conservative, people that might not have even been at the Trump rally, we can track them down. We know exactly who they are. We know exactly where they were at. We know exactly what they were doing. They can find every one of them people, but they can't find illegal aliens. Why? Because they don't want to. But we still have people that are being held 2 years after the fact, political prisoners in the United States of America, because they dared to stand up against a newly anointed President Joe Biden. Political prisoners in the United States of America still being held 2 years after the fact that have never been charged. And not one person whom has been charged in correlation with what happened on January 6th at the Capitol, not one person has been charged with an insurrection. Not a one. Isn't that amazing? I mean, this was an insurrection. This is where, these pesky conservatives, went in there to topple and overthrow the government. I mean, let's not forget, that's what an insurrection is after all. Even though the government was never truly at risk of being overthrown by a guy wearing a Viking helmet. But, hey, that's what they say. Not one person has been charged with an insurrection, but that's what they claim. There's a lot of footage in there that kind of paint different pictures. And as with anything, I want to see all this footage. I want to see all this footage. I really do. It should be made public. It should be made clear. And if it isn't made public, if it isn't made clear, what are you hiding and why are you hiding it? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, we know the answer to that question already, but hey, it continues. And let's see, let's go. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a new thing that I had heard not that long ago. We're going to cover this one, and then we're going to go ahead and take our first break. But this headline from Fox Business, I read this headline, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. The next attack that the climate change alarmists are having, that they're not attacking semis, they're not attacking diesel trucks, they're not attacking anything of that nature. They are attacking your gas stove. Yes, this headline from Fox Business, House Republicans call on Biden not to ban gas stoves. The nanny state at its worst. That's the next step of what they're trying to do. They're wanting to outlaw your gas stove, saying that it is a potential hazard that can kill your life. Look, guys, I have a gas stove. Okay. I grew up with a gas stove. I have a gas stove now. I grew up with a gas stove. That's what I learned how to cook on. So much, in fact, that I hate electric stoves. I really do. Let me rephrase this. I prefer a gas range. An electric oven is fine. I'm okay with an electric oven, but I prefer a gas range. Okay. That's what I like. That's what I prefer. That's what I want. I grew up with gas. I have gas now. I have gas now. Yep. Not just from eating beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot, the better you feel. And that's the treat for every meal. Not just for that reason. I love gas stoves. Let me rephrase that. That was not intentional, but you know what? That's what we get over here at the Ho Ho Show. Holy crap. But they're saying that they are dangerous, that the exhaust, the fumes that are put out from a gas stove is just as bad as being in your garage the entire time. It's amazing how I am still alive. That, you know, if this is so bad and detrimental to my health, that it's a wonder that I ever wake up in the morning when I go to bed with my gas stove in here. You know, it's amazing that things that are not bad for you, they're wanting to claim as bad for you because, why not? It's another level of control that they want to have over you. I mean, that's just, you know, it's almost like they're just going to keep picking and keep picking and keep picking to find out how much they're actually going to be allowed to get away with. But before people, they've had enough. You know, I mean, it's almost like they're just going to keep, you know, they can't leave well enough alone. You know, when are they going to leave well enough alone? They're not. We're talking about a party that is hell-bent on dominating every single aspect of your life, turning it into, yes, a nanny state. That's what we have. Is it not obvious? Can they not make it any clearer than trying to ban a gas stove, something that they have had my entire freaking life? And I'm not entirely over the hill. I'm only 44 years old. Yes, I grew up with one. I've not had a gas stove my entire life, but definitely the majority of it, and I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I'm still alive. I am still well enough. The biggest nanny state that I have ever known. They're going to keep picking and keep picking and keep picking. When will enough be enough? It's never going to be. They're going to keep taking until you stop them. Until I stop them. Until we, the people, stop them and tell them clearly enough is enough. They're going to keep picking. They're going to keep taking away our rights. That's just the way they operate. That's just the way that they are. They continue to take power until they can no longer take any more power. And when they're done taking power, they're going to take more. And we're going to be talking about that on the last segment. But we're going to go ahead and take that quick break. When we return, we're going to be talking about Jim Jordan, what's going on with the Judiciary Committee, some other stuff going on in there. We're also going to be talking about the debt ceiling that we're going to be hitting this coming up Thursday, and some of the stuff going on with what the GOP and the House of Representatives and might plan on doing with the IRS. All in that and just a little bit more right in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Yeah.
You are correct. You are correct.
Congresswoman, do you have a message about the documents found at the Kind of Island Center?
Do you love your occasional Mexican dish or your musical fruit? Are you tired of walking by family members and crop dusting them? Well, if this has ever happened to you, might I introduce you to Tampons brand butt plugs. Tampons brand butt plugs is that particular type of butt plug that allows you to walk in public in confidence knowing that you're not going to accidentally crop dust somebody. Tampons brand butt plugs now with the plastic applicator.
Not just for women anymore.
Tampons brand butt plugs. All right, and we are back. Yep, I left my microphone over there. Not a good place for it whenever you're coming back on. Yeah. Still trying to bring up all of the articles. I think I am actually done. Actually, yes, I am. So very, very good. So we're going to be starting this segment. And as I said, I want to do my very best to keep everything on target, on point, so that this way, come the end of the show, I can kind of separate these and the targets into segments and kind of make them a little bit more easier to digest instead of just one big old huge freaking thing, which I have absolutely no idea how long this puppy's going to end up being. But here we go. Let's go ahead and continue this segment by talking about the GOP, what to expect in the House of Representatives with the Judiciary Committee, all this other kind of good stuff. We're going to begin to talk right here with this article from The Intercept. Headline, Jim Jordan is no Frank Church. Now, for those of you that may not know, Frank Church, did I say Jim Church? I have absolutely no idea. I wouldn't put it past myself. I know me. I've met me. I've lived with myself. I wouldn't put it past me to say that. But for those of you that don't know, Frank Church was mid-70s. What was the year of that one? Well, it conducted landmark Here it is. He is the one who investigated the CIA in 1975, mid-70s. Investigating the CIA, the FBI, landmark investigations. All right, that's where they, uncovered, I think it was MK Ultra, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the type of, judiciary committee that Jim Jordan wants to do. He wants to investigate everything that is going on with the FBI, with the CIA, with all that stuff, to hold these agencies accountable, because it seems like for far too long under Democrat control, because they're doing the bidding of the Democrats, that they've just gone unchecked. And things have been coming out, things that has been made perfectly clear to everybody else that, maybe we shouldn't, maybe we need to rein in on this a little bit and see what's going on, hold these people accountable, and hopefully this doesn't happen again. And that's what Jim Jordan's goal is with the Oversight Committee. Okay, with the Judiciary Committee, not with the Oversight Committee. That's, truth be told, that's where, this is one of them things that I really respect Jim Jordan for this, okay? Because he feels as though his skill set, what he wants to do, would be best served there. Yes, there were those, in the House of Representatives that really wanted him to run as Speaker of the House. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. My calling is here. This is where I want to be. This is where my gifts, this is where who I am better served. I am serving my nation, my constituents. I am better serving here than over there. I don't want that. I would much rather do this. And in a matter of speaking, I condemn him for this, not because I think that Jim Jordan is some, great man that, deserves to be praised, but, he's doing a good job. He's not after that kind of power. I mean, he's still after power. Make no mistake about it. He's been there for a while. I don't think he's just some, like that his hands are clean. I have no doubt that his hands are dirty in some way, shape, or form. But at least in this, I do think of him as trustworthy. I think he's fully capable of doing the job and overseeing these investigations, holding them accountable, and all this other kind of good stuff. Okay, some of the other things that I see that they're wanting to do in there is impeach Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, which would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely. over this border crisis. I mean, it's clear that, what's going on is being done on purpose. Okay? We kind of talked about it in the last segment that, what's going on down at the border isn't incompetence, it's completely intentional. Why is it intentional? Because they are wanting to change the makeup of this nation from American citizens to a bunch of illegals that have nothing to do with the Constitution, don't even care about their freedoms, and will only vote for the party because they got the free stuff. Okay? That's what the Democrat Party is counting on. That's what they're betting on. That's what they want to see happen. So yeah, this whole thing is being done on purpose. It's intentional. It isn't incompetence by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to say that Biden is a genius, that he's smart and he's intelligent because, have you listened to the man speak? But the people whom are pulling the strings, they know what they're doing. And even him as vice president, and whenever he was in Congress, he knew what he was doing. He had an agenda, and he aimed to do it. Nothing that he did was done on accident. It was done on purpose for a purpose. To say otherwise is to... To say otherwise, you're just lying to yourself. Hey, that guy's left-handed. Isn't that spiffy? See, look at that. Look at that right there. The guy on the your right is left-handed. See, left-handed people, we see that kind of stuff whenever people are, left-handed versus right-handed. I kind of, just never mind. Just don't mind me. It's being done on purpose. No, I'm not saying that Joe Biden is any type of mastermind, but he still has a plan and he's working towards executing that plan. And whether or not you think he is the one in control of his own faculties and what's going on, the people that are controlling him are, and they know pure well what it is that they're doing. And by the way, if you think that this isn't part of Joe Biden's plan whenever he was competent and able to do the job, this is still part of his plan, even though what he may be, just nothing more than a puppet on marionette strings. The people that are controlling him know full well what he's doing, and he has no problem doing what it is that he's doing, even though he doesn't know what he's doing. That's beside the point. You guys know what I'm saying. Now, moving on from that. Now, this topic, and hello, Brian, over there in YouTube land. He says, hey, J-Rod, sorry I am late. That is okay, man. That is okay. This is going to be a longer episode. I'm just telling you. In the last segment, we're also going to be talking about, what Brandon talked about during his episode of the Machine Radio Show. Brandon Gatton, co-owner of Weaponized Sloth Productions and host of the Machine Radio Show. He talked about what I'm going to be talking about on the last segment as well. And you know what? I'm telling you what, I'm going to get a little irate in this. You may not like what it is I have to say. And there's a very good possibility that this show will not be airing over here on YouTube next week. That is going to be on my backup YouTube channel, The Ho Ho Show Part 2. But more on that whenever we get to that last segment. Back to this one. This article from the Peacock CNBC. U.S. will hit its debt limit Thursday. Start taking steps to avoid default. Yellen warns Congress. Now, let me tell you something, guys. This is part of the issue that I had whenever you had, during the lame duck session of Congress, whenever they passed that big, huge, bloated omnibus spending bill. I forget how many trillions of dollars that thing amounted to. But one of my huge issues with that was, why didn't you pass a continuing resolution whenever that's all you needed to do to fund the government until mid-January, early February? That's all you needed to do. And you could have put the power in the hands of the House of Representatives, the incoming Republican-controlled House of Representatives. Why did you cut off our legs despite our face? Cut off our legs? Cut off our nose despite our face. Why would you do that? Why would you participate in taking away the one huge thing that we had to try to rein in the out-of-control spending that we have going on in this government right now. 1.9 trillion. That's how much that spending bill was. Thank you, Brian, over there in YouTube land. $1.9 trillion. Holy crap. That's big money. I can't even dream about numbers that high. That number is larger than my mind can even fathom. I'm just going to be honest with you. To see that in the form of dead presidents with T as in trillion, that's a lot of zeros, guys. That's a lot of zeros. It's a lot of zeros. But I want to be honest on something right now, okay? We right now have a national debt, if you believe what they tell you, of $31.6 trillion right now. Our interest payments are over $900 billion a year. Almost $1 trillion is just what our interest payments are every year. That's a lot of money. And I said it's if you believe what they say, if you take into consideration unfunded liability, holy crap, what is some of the unfunded liability? Holy crap, what is that? It just, people retire and you got to make payments to them, people's retirements, their securities and protections and paying their insurance and everything else. I mean, if we take everything else into consideration, our debt isn't $31.6 trillion. It's closer to $100 trillion. Social Security and Medicare is another part of that unfunded liability. Thank you, Brian. But yeah, our national debt, when you take into consideration not just what they claim our national debt is, but you start adding in the unfunded liability, our national debt is upwards and closer to over $100 trillion. That's a far cry from $31.6 trillion. Our yearly interest rate is $900+ billion. It's pushing $1 trillion. Now, look, I don't remember what the GDP is right now, but whenever they say we are servicing the debt, all they're basically saying is they're making the interest payments. That's all they're really saying. They're making the interest payments. They're not servicing the debt. They're not trying to take the debt actually down. All they're doing, they're making the minimum payment they can possibly make. All they're doing is making they're paying the interest, and that's all they're doing. And that's probably on the high side. That's what they're doing. But that's what they're doing when they claim that they're servicing the debt. Now, here's the thing. As Whoopi Goldberg would say, and no, I am no fan of Whoopi Goldberg, but as Whoopi Goldberg would say in the movie Ghost, Molly, you in danger, girl. We're in danger. The only reason why we are able to get away with the bull crap that we are doing with the Bravo Sierra that is going on right now is because we are the global currency right now. The USD. We are the only country that is uniquely has the ability to print its own money. We can do that. Why? Because we are the global currency. Okay. Now, the last country that was the global currency was Great Britain. Whenever that was taken away from them, the value of their dollar dropped 87%, literally overnight. It dropped. Whenever they went to bed with $100 in their banking account, they woke up with $13 in their banking account. That's what happened. Literally overnight. Their value of their currency plummeted. You think things are tough right now in our economy? Just wait. And whenever we got the whole global currency standard, whatever the heck the name of that is, when we got that, we were under the gold standard. that our, the $1 of currency in our pocket was actually represented by a certain weight in the National Reserve in Fort Knox. It was backed by gold. That's how it was back in the day when we became the global currency standard, whatever the heck the spiffy-diffy name of it was. That's what we were. And our money was backed by something real and something tangible. Right now, you're seeing something going on. The price of gold and silver is skyrocketing. Nay, the hell it is. Don't let them tell you any different. It is not skyrocketing. The price of gold and silver is not skyrocketing. Don't let them lie to you. But ho, I'm watching it happen right now. See, there it is. No, it's not. It's not going up. They call it the gold standard for a reason. The price of gold is not going up. The value of our currency is going down. That's what's happening. Make no mistake about it, man. You're putting the USD as the standard, and no, it's not. Gold is the standard. The price of gold isn't going up. The value of the USD is going down. Did you hear what I said? Are you understanding? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? Hello. If we don't get control over this, and I mean soon, we're in danger. We got this by saying that, hey, you know what? You give us the gold standard. You make us that, the global currency exchange, whatever that thing was called. You give us that. Then we will never go off the gold standard. We will never do that. Don't even worry about it. What happened? We went away from the gold standard. Now the value of our currency is based off of our consumption versus production ratio. The more you make, the more you're worth. That's what it's based off of, the GDP, all this whole 9 yards, your value in the global market. That's what it's based off of. There's a few things in there, but that's more or less what it amounts to. It's your production versus consumption numbers. The more you produce versus consume, you're worth more. That's what it amounts to, okay? That's one of the things. There's other aspects into that, but that's what it amounts to. Okay, so we left the gold standard, we went to something else, but we told them, hey, you know what, rest assured. Okay, yes, we went away from the gold standard, even though we assured you that we would not do this, but look, we know we lied to you there, but look, allow me to reassure you that yes, we went off the gold standard, but we will not. I give you my word, we absolutely will not, under no circumstances ever just arbitrarily print money for the sake of printing money. We're not going to do that. We are going to honor the value of our currency. We will never just arbitrarily print money. What are we doing? Oh yeah, that's right. Arbitrarily printing money. We keep lying and we think that for some reason the foreign leaders of other nations are just going to keep allowing us to do this, and we are going to maintain our pedestal forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That was the wrong button. That was the wrong button. If you think that, you're a fool. Because in, Middle Eastern companies, in China, among others, they are already making back alley treaties with other nations, going away from the USD as a global currency, and they are, saying no. We're not going to use the USD in our business dealings, because this is how it works. Okay, you have this country that has this form of currency and this country that has this form of currency, okay? They can't just go to each other and exchange money. There's got to be a common currency in there for them to use. And, so this country has to convert their currency into the USD, give it to the other country, and then that country has to convert the USD into their own currency, and there you go. That's how this whole thing works. Used to. Because more and more every single year, the more the United States FAs and FOs fudge around and find out, you can use your own monicum in there, but the more we mess around, the more we're going to find out, and very, very soon, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened already. We've had some close calls already, and this may be just an indicator of what's to come. Now look, here's the thing. Brian puts in here, he goes, he put a couple things in here. He says, look out, new world order and new currency. Absolutely. And you know what, Brian, that's something that they have been talking about for years. For years, that they have already been talking about doing a different global currency. They've been talking about doing that, but only next time. They're not actually, and you're absolutely right, a new currency. They're not even going to be using cryptocurrency. They're talking about making their own country that is not tied to and associated with any other country out there. Why? Because every time they've done it, they've been screwed over. We have not been good stewards of what's going on. I mean, we're the ones to blame on this. Because, mind you, we have allowed this to happen. We are still the ones to blame. But they are talking about making their own currency as part of the global currency exchange, and they're not even going to be tying this to another country. They absolutely are talking about doing that, no doubt about it. They've been talking about doing that for years. I don't know what the holdup is. I really don't. I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger on it, because I know for at least 5 years they've been talking about doing this. I don't know what the holdup is. I honestly don't. I'm to be honest with you, not that I want it to happen, but I'm shocked that it hasn't happened already. I'm just being honest. I mean, look at the bull crap that we've been doing, and it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. How do you feel about that, Brian? I am. I'm shocked it hasn't happened. $31.6 trillion in debt with if you include the unfunded liabilities added onto that, over $100 trillion in debt. I mean, really, what's the yearly? I mean, really, guys, think about this. If the interest on $31.6 trillion, which we currently have, is over $900 billion. What is, you go 3 times that, what's the interest rate on over $100 trillion? That's almost $3 trillion. What's our GDP right now? I want to look at this. GDP. USA GDP. Okay, 2022. Okay, let's go with that. What's that number? Oh, holy crap. Can't just give me a nice, a nice little number on there that says, hey, this is what it is. What is this? Let's see. I'm looking real quick, trying to see if I can find it. I don't know. Oh, that's it? No, that can't be right. Current dollar GDP, $414.8 billion. Or is that a quarter? Yeah, that can't be right. That can't be right. I don't know. You know what? I'll look for that at another day. I don't know. If y'all can find that, let me know down in the comments over there in chat, all their kind of good places. I'm kind of curious, though. I mean, it's got to be, very, very close to $3 trillion. I mean, come on. 3 times, 9 is 27, and I know it's a little over $100 trillion. I mean, and if, for unfunded liability, if we're throwing that one in there, and I just taking that, just doing simple basic math on there, it's got to be upwards of really, really close, anywhere from, 2.8 to $3 trillion. And that is just the interest payments on over $100 trillion in debt. That's a lot of debt, guys. And you think that we're going to stay on this pedestal forever? Hello, it ain't going to happen. But let me get real with you about something. Whenever we're talking about this whole debt ceiling thing, let me make something perfectly clear to you. Okay? Let me get rid of that article. Let me get rid of that article. I can get rid of that one. I can get rid of that one. Okay, there we go. The Biden administration warns House GOP about debt ceiling deadlines. Okay. The debt ceiling. The Peacock CNBC, U.S. will hit its debt limit Thursday. Start taking steps to avoid default, Yellen warns Congress. Now, here's the thing. All right. Let me break it down to you in simple, easy to understand terminology and basics accounting. Okay. I know that people up on Capitol Hill, that business insiders, that people in the know hate the whole balancing of the budget. The government's budget is the same as balancing your checkbook, but hello, you have expenses, you have expenditures. There's just a lot more of it on the congressional side. And yes, it truly does matter about dollars to donuts. You know, you can't spend what you don't have. And for them to continue to do that, no wonder we're over $30 trillion in debt. I mean, holy crap, are you kidding me? But no, they're not kidding me. That's what we got going on. But let me break it down to you. Simple economics, here's what it amounts to, okay? Hitting the debt limit. What happens? Because they would have you believe that if we hit our debt limit, okay, that we no longer, that they don't increase that debt limit, then we will somehow default on our payments. And if we do that, then that's just really, really bad. And there is that likelihood that if we default on our payments, that we will go to war. Why? Because, what happens when you don't make your car payment? They come and get your car. What happens if you don't make your house payment? They evict you from your home. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a country out there that they buy a lot of our debt. They do. And anytime somebody's going to buy your debt, they're going to ask you, what's your collateral? Okay. You buy a house, your house is a collateral for that payment or for that mortgage. You don't make a mortgage payment, they'll come and remove you from your house. They'll do what they need to do to the house in order to put it on the market. They're going to sell your house. That's how it works. Same thing goes with the car. You don't make a car payment, they come and take the car. They do what they need to the car to put it back on the market, recoup some of that loss in the money. So what happens if you default on the payments of your debt whenever you are a nation? Well, they might come and take your nation. Did you know that there's a lot of land within the borders of the United States of America that is not owned by the United States of America and in fact is owned by the Chinese Communist Party? Are you aware of that? What's some of the things of the land that the federal government has that they can put up as collateral? Well, let's see. We've got some deep water ports. Two of our three deep water ports in the United States of America are already owned by China, not just being held, as a not just being held as a lien on the property, but is actually owned by China. Let me say that again. 2 of the 3 deep water ports in the United States of America, 2 on one coast, 1 on the other, are owned by the Chinese Communist Party. 2 of the 3 owned by the Chinese Communist Party. I don't know if you're aware of that. Now you are. But what's one of the other things this nation has? National parks, reserves. There's things that we have. Did you know that there's, monuments and landmarks and parks that, that are national parks, that the nation isn't the United States of America. It's actually the Chinese Communist Party. Did you know that? I mean, that's what we put up as collateral for them buying all of this land. And it should not be any shock to you. No shocker whatsoever that we're doing this, because let's face it, we all know this. America is great about giving taxpayer money away for absolutely nothing, because they think for some reason, as in people in Congress, people in government, that our money is for them to just give away. That it's our job to be a charity to the world government, but for some reason, ours is the only government that actually believes that. You see, China doesn't give jack diddly squat away for free. They don't give nothing for nothing. There's a quid pro quo with China. They don't give nothing without giving something. They don't give nothing without getting something. That's what I'm saying. They might give you $1 billion, but you can damn sure guarantee that they're getting something in return. Mining rights, mineral rights, land rights in order to build bases, military or otherwise. They're getting something. They don't give nothing without taking something. And they are the biggest owners of United States debt. And are you going to think for 1 second that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, is going to buy all of our debt without getting any collateral whatsoever? Like they're just going to hand over all this money and for us to take it off of our own books and then put it on theirs? Do you really think that? I mean, if so, I've got some swampland to sell you in North Africa. I really do. I've got some oceanfront property to sell you in Nevada. If you believe that, boy, howdy, have I got a deal for you. Hold on now. It's about to get good. Are you really that stupid? I mean, honestly, are you really that stupid? Yeah. I'll say that again for you. I'll say it slower so that this way you pick up what I'm putting down. There is land within the borders of the United States of America that do not belong to the United States of America because they have been given away, nay, sold to foreign entities because we can't rein in our own spending. Yeah. So let me continue with my original thought on this. Just to give you a little bit of history on this, just to kind of lay it out for you and let you know what's actually going on that they don't want to tell you. So that's lesson number 1 on that. Here's the other thing, okay? Not raising the debt ceiling doesn't automatically mean that we are going to default on our payments. That's not what that means, okay? That's like racking up, reaching your credit limit on your credit card. That doesn't mean that you default on your payments because, what happens whenever you reach your credit limit? You've done this, you've done that, you've done the other. You go into the store, you don't have any money in the bank. You give them your credit card after having this big old cart of groceries, and you call them up and you say, hey, the payment doesn't go through. You've reached your credit limit. You call up the bank and say, hey, I'm here buying groceries at the grocery store. I need this money. I need you to increase my debt, my credit limit. I need you to increase that. I need you to raise my debt limit, raise the debt ceiling. This way I can buy food. And the bank says, no, you can't do that. Does that mean you default on the payments of the debt that you have already incurred? No, that means you just can't incur any more debt. That means that you can't say, okay, well, hey, look, all right, so I want you to take back the money that I spent last month, and I want you to put that on my account so that this way I can pay my grocery bill. So no, that's not what that means. If they don't raise the credit limit, that doesn't mean we default on the payment. That's money that's already spent. All we got to do is make the payments on that with the money that we already have coming in. What it means if we don't get our credit ceiling raised is we can't take out new debt. That means that cart full of groceries that we have at the grocery store, you know what? We can't do that no more. That means that we got to turn around and we got to put all of that stuff back. That's what that means. That doesn't mean that we default on our payments. We still got money coming in. That means we can't buy anything else on credit. That's all that means. Did you hear me? I hope so. I can't be any clearer on that. If they do not raise the debt limit, that doesn't mean that we default on the payments. That means that we have to quit going to the store. Now, is that bad? I'm not going to say that it isn't. It absolutely is. It is bad. You know? But you know what? We've been on this trajectory for a long time. We keep kicking the can further and further down the road. We keep giving them increases on the debt ceiling without expecting anything in return. We keep telling them, hey, it's all fine and dandy increasing the debt limit, but what we really need to do is rein in spending. We need to increase our fiscal responsibility. We need to do better at this. We got to quit spending $20,000 on a toilet seat, and we got to figure out how to fix the damn thing because it ain't really that bad in the first place anyway. That's what we need to do. We need to quit giving away money to other governments and acting as a charity without getting anything in return. I'm working on a database right now. I mean, oh my God, people, I can't even tell you how huge this list is. 153 countries that we give money to every single year. I'm working on a database. I have a huge printout, 30,000+ lines of all of these 153 countries that we have spent money on since 2014. From 2014 to 2022, I have all these numbers that I'm working on collecting, putting together, and really analyzing it, the whole entire thing. We need to rein in spending. Why are we giving money to China? Giving it away. I mean, this is the beautiful thing on this, man. We're giving money to China, increasing our debt. And then China is giving us back the money that we gave to them and saying, hey, give me the Washington Monument. Are you kidding me? I mean, think if that's exactly what's going on. We're giving them money and then they're selling it back to us. We give in the form of charity and then they sell it back to us. And these are the geniuses that we have running our country. People that say we need to be careful on the amount of people we have on one side of an island because it might capsize and flip over and kill everybody. Hello. Or millions on a Michelle Obama walking path. Yeah. But I mean, that's what we have, guys. I mean, that's literally what's going on. 153 countries that by charity we're just giving money to. Whenever we are a house broken right now, with 22 veterans a day committing suicide, living out in the streets in substandard conditions, having to put up with the VA that only cares about government spending and not taking care of our veterans. And yet, this is what we are allowing them to do to us. To those that have fought, some giving the full measure, this is what we are allowing to happen. And yeah, it's our fault. We have allowed it to happen. It has gone largely unchecked. Yes, it has. If we don't raise the debt limit, that just means we got to quit going to the store. Now, here's what I want to see happen. Okay. Now, again, I make no illusions whatsoever. Like I said the other week, that whenever it comes to McCarthy and how things are going to happen, I will believe it when I see it. I'm not going to take his word on it. You know, time and time again, the Republican Party has walked the walk, but whenever it comes to having the ability to talk they are, they just fall short, man. They don't do the job. They don't perform. It's like there's not enough Viagra in Congress. Holy crap, I can't believe I said that. Yeah, I said it. I meant it. But that's the Republican Party. I couldn't even believe I said that one. That went down the wrong pipe, man. I was trying to take a drink, talk, swallow, not at the same time. You'd think at 44 years of age, I'd have that figured out. Apparently I don't. But anyway. I'll believe it when I see it. Whenever it comes to the performance of the GOP in the House of Representatives, I will believe it when I see it. Am I hopeful? Yes, I am. And I tell you why. They're making strides. It looks like they are working towards doing it. Now, again, with these whole things that Jim Jordan is talking about doing in the Judiciary Committee, look, I'm going to be honest with you. So what? I don't care. I mean, I really don't. I don't care, because what's going to happen? I don't know. So what if they investigate? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that there's going to be charges. That doesn't mean anybody's going to be prosecuted. That doesn't even mean that anybody's going to be removed from office, that nobody's going to lose their job. It doesn't mean anything. So what if Jim Jordan, he could talk till he's red in the face about everything and each and everything that the FBI and the CIA, Joe Biden through Hunter Biden and the laptop, everything. We know what's going on, people. So what if Jim Jordan has the best, absolute church-esque type of judicial committee that he could possibly has? He lays the case and he buries them in information, exposes all of their lies. Who the hell cares? Because if nothing happens, all we have is more of the same. The thing that especially conservatives have been having a problem with for a very long time, and that is something that we are supposed to have in this nation, and that is equal application of the law. Do we see that? Hell no, we don't. So what if Jim Jordan investigates? I could care less. We already know what's going on. We know what the score is. We know what the FBI is doing. We know what the IRS is doing. We know what the CIA is doing. We know what Hunter Biden did and why he did it, why he got away with it. We know that the real quid pro quo isn't with Trump. It's with Joe Biden, who bragged about doing a quid pro quo with Russia in order to keep the company that his son was working with for being investigated, Burisma. We know what the score is. So what if they do an investigation? I want to see some people getting put in shackles. I want to see people that are being punished to the fullest extent of the law that the Constitution prescribes in treason, high crimes, and misdemeanors. That's what I want to see. And until I start seeing it, until I see some people getting prosecuted, until I see people actually going to prison, and I don't mean a country club like what we have outside or right inside Christian County. I mean send these people to freaking Alcatraz, for crying out loud. Until I see that, I don't care about one investigation whatsoever. Who cares? Because all we're going to get is more of the same. It's not equal accountability under the law. It's a double standard of justice, and that's what we have in this nation. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about these these files that were found. 3 different batches at 2 different locations, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. Brian puts in here, he goes, we need grand juries, not investigating, and I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, we do. I mean, who cares if you spend more money on another investigation that doesn't land any results? Until we grab a hold of the Department of Justice, hold these people accountable, get rid of some people in office that shouldn't be there in the first place, until we have people in office that are actually going to hold people accountable and we actually see equal application of the law, and make no mistake about it, they've already set the stage. It's a high time that we hold these people to the same standard that they want to hold Republicans to. Until that happens, we're never going to have equal accountability. We're never going to have equal justice. Until we have one, there will never be the other. And I could care less if they do another investigation, because until we see people getting prosecuted, as Brian says, grand juries, until some people gets hauled out in shackles, I don't care. Because it means nothing. Oh yeah, before we go on break, one of the other things that they are talking about, this headline from Washington Examiner, I almost forgotten. This is an important story. This goes along with the last article that I was talking about. The Washington Examiner, Restoring America, headline is, Biden's IRS army is not coming for billionaires. It's coming after you. 87,000 IRS people hired. They are not going after billionaires, millionaires. They're going after you. They're not going after the broke and penniless. They're going after you. That's who they're going after. They're going after conservative business owners. They're going to go through your couch cushions. They're going to make sure that there is not even a nickel that is unaccounted for. That's who they're going after. Make no mistake about it. What they are actually talking about doing in lieu of this in lieu of this debt ceiling is actually forcing some lowering of, lowering of a lot of the regulations and the, these agencies, kind of abolishing some of these. Abolishing the IRS is one of the things that they are talking about. Eliminating the income tax, and they are actually talking about actually implementing a fair tax. For those of you that do not know, a fair tax is something that is not based off of your income. It is a national sales tax based off of what you spend. That's what it is. A fair tax. The more you consume, the more you're going to be spending. This way, anybody who is spending any money is going to be paying taxes. I mean, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, if you're not somebody who has skin in the game, then you ain't got no business voting. Because if you're not paying taxes, then you should have no say in how that money gets spent. The zero liability voter would be a thing of the past that they would actually reinstitute. And yes, I said reinstitute that very clear definition and prerequisite for voting. That's how it used to be. You used to have skin in the game. They've done away with that. Why? I don't know. But what do I mean by somebody who pays taxes? Now, look, I know this is one of them things that I offend people whenever I say this, but I don't really care. I don't care. Be offended. But if your relationship to government is not a net zero, a net loss, not a net zero, but a net loss, then you don't pay taxes. If your relationship to government is a net zero, then you don't pay taxes. If your relationship with government is a net positive, you sure as hell don't pay taxes. What do I mean by that? That the money you have taken out of your check, if that isn't more than the amount of money you're getting back, then you don't pay taxes. That means you are benefiting from your relationship with government. Now, look, I'm not saying don't take advantage of these, okay? These different earned income tax credits and child credits and this, that, and the other. Look, I understand that. You know, I'm not saying don't take advantage of it. But here's what I am saying is if you take advantage of it, you do not have the right to vote, because then you're not voting on how your money's being spent. You're voting on how my money's being spent. And of course, you want more of my money to go to you. You're voting on a bigger paycheck. That ain't right. You know, in the home I grew up in, this is a democracy, man. I say what I say goes. You know, we're going to have a vote. You know, when us two kids, we outweigh you one parent. You know what my parents said? This ain't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. This is my house. If you want to have a say, you need to get grown. If you ain't paying bills, you ain't got no say in how things get run in this household. That's how it is. That's how I was raised. I don't know about y'all, but that's how I was raised. That's how mama was. It was a dictatorship. I had no say in what was going on. Why? Because I had no skin in the game. I was a recipient of the household money. I wasn't a contributor. I had no say. That's an easy thing to grasp. Why do people think for some reason that just because they live in the country and they benefit from it, that they automatically should have a say in how things are being, how the money is being spent? I don't understand that mindset. I know that's not a mindset I was raised on, and, I just don't get it. But that is a view I will have to my dying day. If you do not have skin in the game, if your relationship with government is not a net negative, as in if you do not pay more money to taxes, to government, than what you get back, then you don't get a say in how that money is spent, period. I know that walks on some people. I know they don't like it. I know some people just, they're like, well, what do you mean, man? What are you saying? I'm not worthy, or this, that, or the other? No, man, just listen to what I'm saying. You shouldn't be allowed to vote. You're voting on your pocketbook. You're voting on your relationship with government. You're not voting on the issues. You're voting on your relationship with government. Brian puts in here, he goes, it's my way, no highway option. You damn straight. There is no highway option. It's my way. This ain't McDonald's. You don't get it your way. You get it my way, or you don't eat it all. That's what my mama said. There wasn't no, oh, you don't like what I cooked? Here, honey, let me make you some macaroni cheese and some chicken nuggets. It was, you eat your dinner. You don't eat your dinner, then that means you don't eat nothing for the rest of the night. And tomorrow when supper's ready and we're having whatever it is that we're eating, that you's going to eat what was on your plate yesterday, you ain't getting anything else. That's how things were in my house. Mama had attitude. There was no highway option. It wasn't McDonald's. It wasn't Burger King. You didn't get Jack Dilly Squat your way. You got it Mama's way, or you went hungry. And there was no, I'm going to make a special menu just for my lovely kid. She cooked what she cooked. You ate it and you liked it. Well, you didn't have to like it, but you ate it. And if you didn't, you went hungry. And no, that wasn't child abuse. Before you go, no, that's not child abuse. Until you have been a victim of abusive parents, then shut your mouth on abuse. That ain't child abuse. That's called disciplining and raising your children. That's something that we really should get back to today, don't you think? Anyway. What else we got? Another pop-up. Isn't that awesome? Whatever the fate of the Fair Tax Act, Congress should still abolish the IRS. You got it. You're absolutely right. All right, so we were talking about that fair tax thing, abolishing the income tax for the fair tax. Everybody that buys something, because it's a national sales tax, is going to be contributing to the taxes. Isn't that awesome? That means it's really going to be higher for people who are millionaires, billionaires, what have you, to hide their money, because they're still going to be buying stuff here in the United States of America. And if they're buying stuff over here, they're paying these taxes over here. It's going to be harder for them to hide these things. In fact, it doesn't matter what they make. It's a fair tax. It's based off of what you consume. It's a consumer-based tax. The more money you spend, the more money that's going to the government in the form of taxes. But either whatever the fate is of the Fair Tax Act, Congress still abolished the IRS. That is said this article from Reason. Let me go ahead and bring that up because I hadn't done that yet. There you go. That's what that article says. This one, the article from the Bulwark, says that will the House GOP really walk the plank for the fair tax? Is this going to be the hill they are willing to die on? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Like I said, when it comes to everything with the GOP, I'll believe it when I see it. But whatever the case, whatever they decide to do, this article from Newsmax, and I believe it because it says Biden vows to veto the GOP bill targeting the IRS. That he says whatever they intend on doing with abolishing the IRS, I'm going to veto it. You know, here's one of the things whenever it comes to the GOP, okay? When they are not in power, when they know that they can write whatever bogus law they want to, whenever they can make whatever stance they want to, you know, whenever they can talk a big game, and they know that it's not going to mean anything, boy, howdy do they ever talk a good game. The GOP, the Republican Party, they are really, really good when it doesn't matter talking all tough about what they're going to do. They did the same thing whenever they were talking about, you know, spending. They were doing the same thing whenever they were talking about the, building of the border wall. They said the same thing whenever they were talking about Obamacare. You know, they were saying the same thing. But when they finally got a chance to do something about it, they fell short, because the fact of the matter is, that's not what the GOP is all about. It's not the Republican Party. It's not the opposition party. It's the Republican wing of the Democrat Party, because it's the same party. Hello, have you not figured that out yet? They want the same thing. They may disagree on how to get there. You know, I mean, they both agree that this is our destination. This is where we're going. One party wants to go this way. The other party wants to go that way. You know, one wants to take the southern loop. One wants to take the northern loop. But they both want to go the same place. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how they get there, because they're both going to the same place, so they really don't care. They may differ in opinions on how to get there, but neither one of them cares how they get there. Why? Because they're still going. Where is it they're going, you ask? They're going to socialism, to communism, to fascism. You name your flavor, they're going to the hard left. That is their direction. Big government. Period. Big government. End of discussion. End of story. Do I have hopes for the Republican Party? Yes. I don't have any faith in them. I hope. I say that, but there's still an aspect here that I haven't mentioned. And I mean, I kind of have, we know that, we only control one half of one branch of government. There's still a Democrat-controlled Senate. There's still a Democrat-controlled executive branch. So, I mean, we know that any law that they write in the House of Representatives, that it's not going to go any farther than the House of Representatives. It's not like it's really going to pass in the Senate. If it passes the Senate, it's not like it's going to go to Biden's desk is going to sign it into law. We all know this is not going to happen. So, I mean, who cares if you hold their feet to the fire? They've proven. The Republican Party has proven time and time again that given this type of an opportunity, they'll talk the talk. But let's just say in 2024, we get a Republican in the White House again. We increase our control in the House of Representatives, and we regain control even by a supermajority in the Senate. Hell, a supermajority in the House of Representatives. That's when the rubber meets the road. That's whenever I want to see the Republican Party diminishing, taking apart, setting ablaze the Democrat agenda, because they will have all the power to do so, and they would rightfully be doing it. But will we see that? Probably not. If history is any if it's any indicator on what would be happening to come, then no, I don't think we're going to see it. Because the Republican Party has proven time and time again that they really, they don't mind being in the majority, but they really don't want to govern. That's why they let the Democrat Party do whatever they want to do. That's why whenever it is a Republican-controlled Senate, House, presidency, we don't see a rolling back and a stopping. At most, we see a slowing down of the Democrat agenda. We may put something on pause, but we don't dismantle it. We don't do anything about it. I mean, really, why? When Trump came into office, it was Senate or GOP-controlled Senate, GOP-controlled House of Representatives. Why did they just pause? Why did they not dismantle Obamacare? Why was the talk repeal and replace Obamacare? Why couldn't have we just gone back to what we had before Obama? Before they did Obamacare. Why was there to replace anything? There was no need for it. We didn't need it beforehand. What was better was free market capitalism in the space of healthcare. We've not had that my entire life. Oh, but for some reason now it's got to be repeal and replace. Really? Why? Like abolishing the Department of Education, like if we abolish the Department of Education, our children will somehow grow up from now until the end of time, not knowing anything about being about education, about reading, writing, arithmetic, about science, technology, engineering, and math. They're not going to know anything. We're going to revert back to the caves and be a caveman again. I mean, holy cow, it's going to be worse than the fall of Babylon. And the destruction of the Tower of Babel and all that good stuff is going to be worse than that. Really? I mean, what? There was no such thing as education prior to 1978 in the Department of Education? That's what they would have you think. No, the private industry does it better. The private industry would not allow upside down sales in Amtrak for a decade. The private industry wouldn't allow that. Why would the private industry not allow that? Because the private industry wouldn't be there if they allowed their books to operate that way. It's pretty simple. Because in the private sector, there's actually standards. They're actually held accountable. Unlike the business of government, where you can run and you can be part, and you can be an idiot, and you can have piss poor ideas. You can commit plagiarism. You can lie. And eventually, if you hold true to the course of being the great puppeteer that they want you to be, eventually, no matter what your cognitive ability, after 50 years of serving, you will eventually wind up in the White House as president. Don't believe me? Just ask Joe Biden. That's how he got there. Brian puts in there, goes, because we had two sellouts, John McCain, John Roberts. Oh, not just John McCain and John Roberts. There was Romney Sell out. What was that guy's name? Starts with a B. Sell out. Paul Ryan, sell out. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's a sad, sad thing that here the Republican Party is supposed to be the opposition party. It's supposed to be fiscal conservative. It's supposed to be fiscal responsibility. It's supposed to be the party of smaller government. That's what it's supposed to be the party of. But the fact of the matter is, we have more posers in this country, in this party, as in the Republican Party, than what we actually have as starch conservatives. You see, the Republican Party is supposed to be the conservatives. We're not the outliers. We're what the Republican Party was originally set up to be. Not just an opposition, back to the basics, defending the Republic, the Constitution, the whole 9 yards. That's what we were as the Republican Party. We have far too many people that are moderates. I don't like them. We have far too many rhinos than what we have conservatives. That, to me, is so wrong, I can't even put it to words. For those of you that don't know, a rhino Republican is Romney. Actually, Republican in name only is what rhino stands for, R-I-N-O. That's what we have. We have more rhinos in our party that the establishment is fine with than what we have conservatives. And the conservatives in the Republican Party is what the Republican Party is supposed to be. It's what they're supposed to be. To conserve, preserve, protect, and defend our republic, our Constitution. That's what it means to be conservative. That's what it used to mean to be a Republican. But now the Republican Party is nothing more than the Republican wing of the Democrat Party. It is no longer an opposition party because they both want the same thing. They both want the same thing. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about the classified documents that were found in 3 locations at 2 different properties. And this is just irony at its best. I cannot tell you. This, to me, actually kind of cracks me up. We're going to get into that right on the other side of this. Don't go anywhere. We still ain't done yet. Have you ever had an ailment that a normal over-the-counter remedy just couldn't fight? If this is the case, then boy, have I got the solution for you. Tussin. That's right, Tussin. Cough? Tussin. Cold? Tussin. Runny nose? Tussin. Itchy watery eyes? Tussin. Broken leg? Tussin. Tussin is the ultimate cure-all, guaranteed to stop anything that ails you. Tussin. Available wherever OTCs are sold. All right, and welcome back. So, guys, we've got second to the last segment. I know we're already 2 hours into this, and we ain't even done yet. Holy crap, probably got another hour to go. That's why I said in the beginning of this live broadcast that I'm going to be doing after the fact. I'm going to be cutting this down into smaller bite-sized segments. I'm going to separate it by segment to where this way the rewatch isn't quite as bad. That's what I'm going to be doing over on the YouTube side of things. And whenever I get to the last segment, just so you know, we're going to be talking about that whole gun control thing that's going on in the great state of Illinois. And it's probably going to get banned after that. So if you go to my channel, and you should probably do this as soon as possible, and go ahead and in my whatever links, associated channels or whatever that thing is called, you'll see the Ho Ho Show Part 2. Next week, that's where that show is going to be broadcast live on. And of course, if you are ever confused on where the video can be found, you can always go to thehohoshow.com, click on that video tab and the any live broadcast. If you cannot find me anywhere else, I do have that live, even going right now on thehohoshow.com on the video tab. The very first thing right at the top of the page, that is where I'm at. I always have the most current, and then I have the live, and then that, the live is up there for a week until the new one gets posted, and there you go. And I do have some awesome stuff coming up within the next couple weeks. I will know more, and of which case there's some new stuff that is looking to go on with thehohoshow.com. I am excited about this. I really am. I don't have any details that I can really get out there right now, but some awesome good things coming to thehohoshow.com. I'm excited about it. And I hope that, these are really awesome changes. Well, they will be. They'll be really awesome changes. I hope it's easy enough for me to do. I can't get into it right now. It's still stuff that are in the works. So, yes. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Get this show on the road. 2 hours. Holy crap, and we ain't even done yet. This article from Real Clear Politics. Now, after hearing about these documents found at these locations, I heard asked, is this the deep state coming after Joe Biden? And that is just a question that is asked on Real Clear Politics. That's what's being asked. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think so. I really don't. And here's why I say this, okay? One of the things that they have talked about, with this stuff going on with President Trump, an audit of classified documents is something that has been expected. Okay. And that explains why lawyers were going through documents in different locations associated with Joe Biden. That makes sense. It doesn't make sense that, they just so happen to be going through a closet and, what's this box of documents? Oh, there's classified documents here. We better contact somebody. Why else would Joe Biden's lawyers be going through documents if it wasn't to cover their ass for something that they think is coming right around the bend? And that's pretty clear whenever you take into consideration a Republican-controlled House of Representatives. It makes sense. It makes sense. They knew the red wave was coming. They thought that they would get ahead of this. And yeah, there's timeline information into this, but ain't going to get into that right now. But let's just say, yeah, there's some timeline stuff into this that is very, very interesting. Oh boy, howdy, is it ever interesting. We'll get into that a little bit, but just make no mistake about it. I don't really think this is the deep state coming after Joe Biden. I think this was Joe Biden or his handlers having a CMA moment. That means cover my ass. That's what they were doing with documents if such an audit occurs with classified documents. That's what I think happened here. I don't think this is the deep state going after Joe. I think this is Joe covering his own hindquarters. Rolling Stone says, oh, look, the Republicans suddenly care about classified documents. Okay, idiot, look. This is totally different. Joe Biden, President Trump, these are not the same. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Joe Biden was not president during the time these documents were taken. He was vice president. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the documents that Trump took, he took while he was president, not vice president. I don't know if you're aware of this. I just want to point out the obvious here. Joe Biden, vice president. He's president now, but he was vice president then. The Democrats has made it clear that you can be prosecuted for what you did in the past, that it ain't got to be something that's necessarily current. And let's make no mistake about it. Impeachment is, high crimes and misdemeanors is what we say it is, as says Nancy Pelosi. So I don't want to hear your rhetoric. I don't want to hear your talk. I don't want to hear your blah, blah, blah. This is what you're doing. This is what you need to do. Just throwing that out there. Joe Biden, vice president. Trump, president. Why does that matter? Well, you see, the president of the United States of America is the head of the executive branch. One man, 1/3 of the entirety of the national government. The vice presidency is basically a title, no power whatsoever. They're kind of sitting in wait. They're just sitting there waiting for the president to die, waiting for the president to have a surgery that he can't execute his office, and they have to step in to either fill the gap while the president is out of commission for a little while, or to become the president in a case of an assassination or something like that. That's what the VP does. He sits there for 4 years waiting for something to happen to the president. That's what his job is. That's all his job is. It's an honorary role. Okay. The only time the president has the only time the vice president has anything to do is whenever you have a 50-50 split in the Senate and they're the tie-breaking vote. Outside of that, they got nothing to do. It's an honorary role. It is a title without any power. Pay, sure, no power. They ain't got nothing to do. They sit there with their proverbial thumb up their metaphorical hindquarters. That's what they are. That's it. That's all the VP is. But the president, on the other hand, has all kinds of power and authority. Now, you may agree with this, you may disagree with this, and I quite honestly disagree with this. I don't think it should be like this way, but it is. Just like in the tax code, you can't fault President Trump for taking advantage of the law. All you can do is change the law, and you cannot hold him accountable post facto. There's a terminology for this, but you can't do that. You can't change the law and then hold somebody accountable for the law yesterday whenever you just wrote the law today. It doesn't work like that. You just can't do that. But the president has the authority to say that something is declassified. And there is no rules, regulations, procedures on how this has to be done. He doesn't have to tell anybody that he declassified a document. There's nothing he has to do. And the president, as the head of the executive branch, has full power and authority to do this, and there ain't nothing anybody can do about it, period. So when they found classified documents at President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, and he said, I declassified these, they got to take his word for it. End of discussion, period. There's nothing they can do because they can't prove that he didn't. There's no regulations on there. There's no, standard operating procedure. There's nothing he has to do. All he has to do is say, I declassified this as a president of the United States of America who has full authority to do so. You got to take him at his word. There's nothing they can do. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. There's nothing they can do. Now look, yes, President Trump was kind of belligerent with them a little bit at least because he was getting ticked off. I mean, come on, can you blame the guy? He was being attacked ever since he came down the escalator at Trump Tower. He's been being attacked, ridiculed, investigated, impeached, everything else. I mean, he's been under attack the entire time. Can you blame him for not wanting these people to go through his things at his residence? Now, I know freedom of information, the archives has every right to look at this stuff, but you can't blame Trump for going, you know what? No. There's nothing you need here. These are things that I am keeping for my own personal benefit because I plan on doing some stuff because I'm going to be running for president again in 2024 and I want some dirt and I'm going to keep this. I don't care what you say because if you come in, you're going to look at this knowing what it is and you're probably going to take it from me and I don't want that to happen. Can you understand his animosity towards the system, towards the deep state? I can absolutely and fully. But let me reiterate, he was president of the United States of America with full authority, no questions asked, not having to tell anybody, having the authority to say that this is declassified because I declassified it. There's nothing anybody can say about this. They can't accuse him of having classified. They can't accuse him of having classified information if he said it was unclassified by me. That's why the most they can do is obstruction, because he didn't want to cooperate. Why didn't he want to cooperate? Because he spent his entire presidency, both before and after inauguration, under attack. Can you blame him? Hello. Not the same thing. And if past is to be taken for president, it doesn't matter anyway, because let's face it. Before President Trump being accused of this, when you really couldn't accuse him of anything, you had Hillary Clinton and the standard that has been made with her during Obama's presidency. Personal email account on a personal server in somebody's home, who cares? Right? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Every single person in the Obama administration that sent an email with classified markings, whether or not it was classified markings, because even if you remove the classified markings, it doesn't make it unclassified. It actually is tampering and is still illegal. And, the standard was made because, like I said, everybody who sent her emails, everybody who got emails from her that were classified information, what have you, violated the law. Nothing happened. Nothing happened to Hillary Clinton. No investigation into Obama. No investigation into Joe Biden, the entirety of the cabinet, the staff, anybody. Nothing happened. She refused to cooperate. No obstruction charge. She used bleach bit, physically destroyed. She deleted classified. She destroyed government property. No vandalism charge. No intent. No obstruction. No nothing. It was, we recommend that you don't do anything. No lawyer in their right mind. I'm sorry. No prosecuting attorney in their right mind. No DA would ever, not DA. No prosecutor would prosecute this. Nobody in their right mind would do anything about this. Hello. What she did went so far and beyond. You all know. This isn't a secret. We all know what's up. We know what happened. So we already have this as the standard that the Democrats made whenever this was happening to the former Secretary of State. She wasn't the vice president. She wasn't the president. She was a staffer. She was a cabinet member. Nothing happened to her. Yeah, she was the former first lady. But who cares? That wasn't the hat by which she was wearing, the jacket, the uniform by which she was wearing. That's not whom she was when all this went down. It wasn't former First Lady Hillary Clinton. It was Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. That's who committed all these crimes. We all know what's up on this. That was the standard that the Democrats made for Trump. And now you have a different standard that is being used against Trump. And what is going on doesn't hold water. Is it, oh, look, Republicans suddenly care about classified documents? No, we understand what's up. We know what's going on. And we don't accept it. This headline was absolutely amazing. Let me go ahead and show you this one. This headline is from CNN Politics. Let me go ahead and click on this one so you can see it. See how Republicans downplayed Trump classified documents, but pounced on Biden. Excuse me, hold on a second. Isn't that what the Democrats actually did? They're downplaying everything that Biden did, everything that Hillary Clinton did, and they're downplaying, they are pouncing on Trump. Isn't that what the Democrats are doing? Have you listened to the rhetoric? Orange man bad, die, go to prison, shackles, the whole 9 yards. We don't care if he actually did anything. We want him gone. This is a clear and present danger to the United States of America. He must be put to death. That's the rhetoric. What do you have with Joe Biden? We know he's a good guy. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Hello, that's not what you said about Trump. That's not what you said. And here you're going to have the balls to say in CNN Politics, see how Republicans downplayed Trump classified documents, but pounced on Biden. That is the exact opposite of the truth. Ridiculous. This headline from the New York Post points it out pretty clearly. Don't buy Biden's surprise. Classified documents were moved at least twice. Why do they say that? Because one of the locations that these classified documents were found at the Penn Biden office thing. And then there's more on that we're going to get to in just a little bit. But this stuff wasn't even, this office space, this honorary position that Biden has at Penn State University, whatever, it wasn't there when he left office. So it was moved from his VP office to wherever it was, from wherever it was to this location at the Penn State University. So it was moved at least twice. And you're going to believe the rhetoric that, oh, he didn't know. I had no idea I had classified documents. No way. McCarthy says in this article from Hot Air, of course Biden knew he had those classified documents. Now here's the thing. House Oversight Chairman demands list of names and locations linked to Biden document searches. We'll get into that here in a little bit later. Let me go ahead and throw something down for. I was listening to a call in from another show, and he was saying that there are three things that happen whenever it comes to classified information about going and getting it. Okay, one is if you are getting this classified information, it's not just something that is handed to you. I mean, in the case of Biden, I mean, in some cases with, the presidential debriefings, what have you, but that's more so for the president. Like I said, with the vice president, that is an honorary role. That isn't really a role of any power. So there's a few things that has to happen, whenever it comes to classified documents outside of being president, okay? Outside of being president, you have to go and get these documents. You have to show that you have the clearance to read said document. You have to demonstrate that you have the need to know. Oh, I'm getting there, Brian. Oh, yeah. Brian says, don't forget about the garage. Absolutely the garage, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm getting there. That's actually my next point. But you got to have clearance. You got to have the need to know, and you have to sign a disclosure agreement. In with this disclosure agreement is kind of some of the legalities around the handling of this classified information. And one of the things that is incorporated into this is the ignorance is no defense. Your intent doesn't matter. You sign it out, you sign it back in. Ignorance, intent, is no excuse. It is not a defense. If you mishandle classified information, you mishandle classified information. No ifs, no ands, no buts. It doesn't matter. So Hillary Clinton with her whole, we're not going to prosecute. We don't think she intended to do anything wrong. It doesn't matter. She mishandled classified information. It was investigated. It was found to be true in the investigation. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to haul her off in shackles. They wanted to cover it up. And so they said, nobody in their right mind would prosecute Bravo Sierra because they've already done so in the past. With other people, Republicans. So you got to have clearance, the need to know, and you got to sign a disclosure, and you are informed very clearly what is and is not acceptable practice. That's part of it. There ain't no way in hell that Biden didn't know. There ain't no way in hell that he wasn't aware. He signed it out. There's going to be an audit of this. There's no doubt in my mind of classified information, because now the questions are, you got Trump that had classified information. You got Biden that's had classified information. You had Hillary Clinton that sure as shit had classified information. How many other ones had? We got 2 Bushes and an Obama to look at. We got to look at these guys and see what they had. I mean, just because, you got 2 Bushes in there, Republicans like the Bushes. Hello? Yeah. Well, we also got an Obama to look at too. What did they have? Let's audit. Let's find out. Let's find out what was checked out that was never checked back in. Now, again, when you're talking about President Trump, he has the authority, the only single person that has that authority. I mean, yes, different organizations can do it, but he is an individual. He is the executive branch who has full responsibility, full ability to declassify information. He can do that. Joe Biden, as vice president, has no power to do that. He cannot do that. The best he can do is say, hey, Obama, I'm wanting to use these documents that are classified in my personal memoirs or whatever the case may be. Would you mind declassifying them so I can take it and not get in trouble for having it? Sure, Joe, don't worry about it. I got you covered. They're no longer classified. That's all it would take. And if that was the case, then why didn't Obama come out and say that? If that was the case, why didn't Biden come out and say that? Fact of the matter is that wasn't the case, because instead of going, oh yeah, Obama declassified those for me, this is why I took it, there was nothing nefarious going on here. There was no ill intent going on here. Yes, I had them. Yes, Obama knew about it. And Obama even declassified this so that this way I can have it, and this is why I took it. If that was the case, that's what he would have said. It wouldn't have been we got to cover our ass. I had no idea. I don't know. Instead, you got a bunch of lawyers who may or may not have had security clearance to look at the documents they were looking at and then going, let's give this back to the archives because we know there's going to be an audit and we don't want to be caught with our hands down. We don't want a raid at Joe Biden's many locations that these files could be found at, because we don't want them to find some of the things that could be here. So, let's just not even do that. Brian, reminded me about the garage. Yes, that's one of the locations that these files were found at, and in his defense, it was kind of funny. He's like, yeah, they were in the garage. Like, what, you mean in the garage? And Biden's like, yeah, in the garage with my Corvette. Is he bragging about having a Corvette? No. What he's saying is this isn't his Prius, okay? This is a vehicle that has some value. And because it has some value, it is protected. And therefore, this isn't just like sitting out in the garage. It's not like the living quarters in here. No. This is a garage that has an expensive car. It's kind of got a layer of protection in here. You should leave me the hell alone and quit asking questions about where these documents were found at. That's what he was pointing out and trying to make clear. But yes, these documents were found in Biden's garage. And actually, what I had heard, unconfirmed, I do not know this to be 100% sure, but the property that these classified documents were actually found at wasn't owned by Joe Biden. They were owned by his son, Hunter Biden. You heard me right. Let me say that again, just in case you didn't hear me. The location, the house where Biden's, Corvette was found and these classified documents were found in the garage, wasn't owned by Joe Biden. It's a house that was actually owned by Hunter Biden. Unconfirmed. That's just what the scuttlebutt is right now. I don't know. Just want to throw that out there for you. Either way you look at it, this was still a residence that both Hunter and Biden, Joe, can't really say Biden as a generic whenever both of them are Bidens. Oh man, I have issues sometimes, don't I? Yeah. But what should really make your blood boil? And yes, claim to be a secure garage because there's Corvettes in there. Of course it's a secure garage. This isn't a Prius. It's not like it's parked out on the street. It's a secure garage. That's what Biden's claiming, okay? There's a picture that Andrew Wilkow, the Wilkow Majority, posted over on Twitter. A picture that was taken by somebody, assumedly somebody in the press, you would assume somebody in the press, that took a picture of Joe Biden's Corvette that was open, highly secured, by the way. And by the way, the vice president is not somebody who has lifelong Secret Service members protecting him, Secret Service security as part of their life. It's not part of their retirement package. Unlike the president of the United States of America, that's part of his retirement package. That's not the case with the former vice president. They don't get that. They have Secret Service protection during office. However, they do not have Secret Service protection outside of the office. Why? Because they are technically not supposed to have access to sensitive information. Therefore, it doesn't matter if they get captured after the office because they can't be used against the president, the White House, America in general. That's why it doesn't really matter. He doesn't know anything. Why does he not know anything? Because again, the vice presidency is an honorary position at best. You have a title, no authority. You don't know anything. So after the office, you don't get Secret Service protection because you don't know nothing. Just in case you didn't know. Okay. That being said, the other place that classified papers, documents, what have you, was found was at this Penn Biden Center. Now, this is where things kind of start getting a little dicey and look really, really bad for Biden. Okay. Trump is elected 2016, comes into office in 2017 and 2018. Sometime in the first quarter, I believe, is when the Penn Biden Center is actually made. So you have a period between January of 2017 and whenever this actually got finished, let's just say February. It's either February or March, I believe, of 2018. Okay. The Biden Center was announced in 2017, but it was, sometime after that it actually was opened. I'm not seeing it right here. I'm not going to look too hard for it because it doesn't really matter. Okay. But here's the thing. That's again how we know that the documents that were found there were moved at least twice. Because he left office January 2017. This thing didn't get finished constructed until sometime in 2018. So between that year where the Penn Station didn't exist and neither did Joe Biden's vice presidency exist because the position was filled by somebody else, those papers had to have been somewhere. It's not like it went through a portal in space and time, went from here, this place, to there, that time. It's not like that happened. That didn't happen. But this place really, really looks bad. Okay. Because I believe there was 47. No. $30 million was given from China oligarchs in the form of anonymous donations and otherwise to the Penn Biden Center from the time it was announced to the time that Biden was an honorary no-show staffer. Okay? A lot of money. Since the announcement in 2017 of the Biden Penn Station, China oligarchs, high officials, the Chinese Communist Party, 67 billion, I believe, with the bill. Or is it million? It might be million. Yeah, million. $67 million has been donated to them. And I think it was 47 Well, the University of Pennsylvania ranked in a total of $54.6 million from 2014 through June of 2019 in donations from China, including $23.1 million in anonymous gifts starting in 2016, according to public records. Did you hear me? But it gets worse. As if that wasn't bad enough. It gets worse. It looks as though, because of information that we have uncovered in Hunter Biden's laptop, it looks as though this was a document drop. We know that this location was used by his campaign as campaign offices, but in the Hunter Biden laptop, there was communications going on, basically saying that these are some of the people that need to have keys, access to this building, to the Penn Biden Center. Some Chinese oligarchs was among the people who needed keys and access. Biden, as in Joe, and Biden, as in Hunter, and others as well, specifically named in this email as needing access, needing keys to the Biden Center. How much access did they have? How secure were these documents? Was this location being used as a document drop? I don't know. But it's very, very fishy. Chinese having access to the same location, keys, access to the same location that classified documents have been found in. A building that was built with Chinese money. Oh, but it gets worse. You see, this one was a smoking gun. Okay. With this Penn Biden Center, this was a smoking gun. You see, it gets worse than that. As if that wasn't bad enough, and believe me, it is. If that just wasn't bad enough, it gets worse. You see, there was an investigation that was being done. Chinese influence in our colleges and education centers. I don't remember if it was the Department of Justice. I don't remember if this was, Judiciary or Oversight Committee or who it was that was doing it. I think it was the FBI that was doing this investigation. Chinese influence in our education universities. Just how much influence does China have in our university? That's what the question was. That's what they were investigating. Wouldn't you have it? Something happened. I don't know what the threat was. I mean, I know what the threat was that Biden gave Ukraine. Stop investigating the company that my son works at, or you're not getting this money, this $1 billion. Stop investigating, or you ain't getting this. Quid pro quo. You want this, you give me that. Gee, was this America's best interest in mind, or was Joe Biden only after protecting him and his son? I mean, I think it's pretty clear what was going on here. Don't mind calling the big man, because he and I are in complete agreement. You want to call Obama? You go ahead and call Obama. Obama gave me full authority in this. It is what it is. And by golly, the son of a bitch did it. That is what Joe Biden said, bragging about the quid pro quo, destroying and stopping the investigation into the company his son worked at. Zero experience Joe Burisma an energy company. Now, I know what the quid pro quo was there, but what was the quid pro quo here? I don't know. But what I do know is Chinese money, Chinese influence. An investigation that's being done on a federal level, investigating how much influence China has in the universities and education in the United States of America. And wouldn't you have it? The higher ups, the board, the decision makers of the University of Pennsylvania wrote a big old long paper email saying that, you guys really need to shut down this investigation because it's racist. I mean, that was their excuse, right? Was it this racism? This is not an investigation that you guys should be having. This is racist. This looks bad against, China, people of Chinese descent. This is just a bad way to go about doing it. This just looks racist as hell. You guys really need to cease and desist. What you could possibly, take away from this, you be the judge. Over $67 million was donated by China. Anonymous oligarchs, as in Chinese, the Chinese Communist Party, gave money to the University of Pennsylvania, and a quid pro quo somewhere, I'm sure, either do what you can to shut down this investigation now, or you're no longer going to receive any money. Don't mind talking to Xi Jinping about this because he and I are in complete agreement. Is that what happened? Maybe. I don't know. Either way, it's fishy as hell. Period. Either way, fishy as hell. The investigation was stopped. Shut down. That's why I say this location looks like it was a. Now, I can't say whether it was. I can't say whether it wasn't. But what I do know is Chinese money paid for this location to be built. Within this location, within this building, there were classified documents that wasn't supposed to be there. Classified documents that higher ups in the Chinese government had access to. Hunter Biden had access to. Who knows how many people had access to? Was it in a skiff? No, it was not. It was locked in a closet. That's what I do know. Chinese money paid for a building to be built at a university where classified documents were found that Chinese officials had keys and access to, along with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and God only knows who else. That's what I do know. That right now has been confirmed by multiple sources, including the damning Hunter Biden laptop that the FBI wish so hard would just go away. That's what I do know. I know I said I had another topic I was going to talk about, but to be honest with you, we are 2 hours and 44 minutes into this, and no. We ain't going to be talking about that one. Actually, we're going to be doing that one tomorrow. There's going to be another show tomorrow. I don't know what time. It might be noon o'clock. I'm not exactly sure. When I find out, I'll put a post over there on my social media, platforms. I'll let y'all know then. Whenever I know, because we still have a doozy to talk about. We really do. And that is with this whole, HR 4751, the we don't give a shit about your Second Amendment right act. That's what it is. I mean, they have another name for it, but let's be honest about this. That's what this act is. It's an assault weapons ban that has absolutely nothing to do with anything about ballistics, about bullets, without The ability to kill somebody with lethality. There we go. It's all about control. That's all it's about. And we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. We're almost 3 hours into this and I ain't even gotten that far yet. And that's going to be, whew, when I say I'm pissed, I'm beyond. Okay. I'm beyond. And I may surprise some people on this, on what I am going to say on tomorrow's episode. Tune into, social media, whether it be over there in the Twitter places, whether it be on the Facebook group of Weaponized Sloth Productions, whether it be on my public profile page, the Ho Ho Show, whether it be over there on Twitter, I don't know. I'm going to try to put it on all of them. But that episode will air tomorrow because we still have something to talk about. Y'all might be shocked on what it is I'm about to say. When I say I am infuriated, you got no idea. Whew. I am hot on this one. I am so hot indeed. I am going to be marching my happy little, gluteus maximus hindquarters over to the, sheriff's office here in Christian County, which is where I live. And I want to get the sheriff's hot take on this bill because I want to know. Are you going to defend the Constitution? Did I make a mistake in voting for you? I would like to think not. But I'm going to ask him. I'm going to show up with my press credentials. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to record this conversation. Hopefully I can record it on video, not just audio. And I'm going to ask him. I'm going to see if he's going to come on studio and just talk about this. I'll be as civil as I can be, but believe me, I'm passionate about my freedom. And the Second Amendment is number 2 for a reason. But we're going to get into that tomorrow. I thank y'all for stopping out. I really do. This is a long episode. I'm going to trim it down to make it more consumable for those, after the fact. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. I do thank you for stopping by, tuning in. Y'all have yourself a great one. Till next time. This has been The Ho Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpickle.com. Until next time.